Welcome back to the channel. I'm Joe. We are going to crawl back underneath the GX and fit some more off-roady type parts to it. Things that came off of my wrecked 4th gen. Stay tuned. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and put the LFD front skid plate up underneath this. Thankfully that skid wasn't on at the time when the 4Runner got totaled, so I still have that. And we're actually going to find out if it fits. Well, it fits. I wouldn't have made this video if I hadn't checked already to make sure that it fits. Because LFD doesn't actually offer one for the GX, and I'll show you why technically this isn't for this vehicle, but it still fits. Anyway, and then we are actually going to go ahead and bolt on these sway bar drop bracket relocation brackets now that the lift is on, because I was able to salvage those off of the 4Runner as well. So let's go ahead and point the camera underneath real quick. I've already got one of these bolted in just because I wanted to make sure that the sway bar was going to clear the skid plate, which it does. And I'll show you guys how to put these on, and then we will go ahead and bolt the LFD skid plate on. Plus, if you are an old subscriber, you will know I had some issues when I bolted this skid onto the 4th gen. Well, those issues basically have been remedied, and I'll talk to you about why that is. Okay, so right here you can see the two bolts where I've dropped the sway bar down, and we are going to take this relocation bracket and bolt that right up there. We're going to use the stock bolts in the recessed holes there, and then the kit came with bolts that will bolt the sway bar onto it. What it's going to do is going to move it down about 3/4 of an inch and move it forward 3/4 of an inch, give or take, and that is going to help realign the correct geometry with the lift, and hopefully help us keep as much front flex and articulation and ride quality as much as we possibly can. That's what it looks like all bolted in. You're going to want to make sure to use plenty of anti-seize on all that hardware, and don't go crazy tightening those last two bolts in, because that spacer is made out of aluminum. You don't want to strip those threads, and a lot of times they're made out of polymer, so same concept applies there. Moving on to the skid plate, I will drop that original installation video down below so you guys can watch that and see a little bit more in depth my issues, if you will, with it. Basically, it's not conformed 100% to the contour of the underbelly. So when I got the skid, I needed longer bolts, and I kind of had to make my own spacers for the back part of it because I didn't like how it attached. Technically, I suppose it didn't need it. But I just didn't like how it installed. So a little while on, my buddy who has the same skid plate on his 5th gen, he's like, hey, didn't you get or use the hardware kit that came with the skid plate? And I'm like, what hardware kit? So I reached out to LFD, you know, it's a little baggie of bolts and stuff. It just didn't get put in the box, no big deal, they sent it to me. So I have longer bolts now, so that takes care of that. And it came with these poly spacers that go in the back to take up the little gap between the skid plate and the rear cross member. It obviously would be nice if the skid plate was bent to fit to that, or it had some like steel spacers welded in. But I'm 100% okay with this method. So there's that. I'm gonna get it bolted in, and I'll show you guys why this fits, but technically definitely not meant for this GX. Alright, there is the LFD all fit up there. I also put in this factory plastic, I don't know, splash guard, I guess. I don't know what you would call it. It kind of protects debris from getting up into the radiators. It has some channels in it for cooling for the AC condenser. I got that. Normally there's fingers here that like have plastic clips onto the factory skid plate. I just shoved them in, wedged them in between the cross member and the skid plate, and it worked fine. I had to trim a little bit of the plastic. It was touching the AC condenser just barely, but it's in there. All right, so why doesn't this technically fit a GX? And I tell you, I will check LFD's website before I close this video out and tell you guys if they actually offer a skid plate for this. Again, I'm just using this because I had it because of my 4th gen. The oil filter drain plate does not line up. The oil filter on the 4.7 is on the bottom, not on the top of the engine like the 4 liter. It's actually like right over here. If they moved this over, I have a feeling you could probably get up there to pop the oil filter off and it would still drain out. And then if you go towards the back, I don't know if we're going to be, there's the hole for the oil pan drain. You could probably get a socket onto that plug, but it's not going to drain straight down that. Again, if that was moved just like right there, it would be perfect. So LFD, if you don't make a skid for this, hit me up. I could probably get you some measurements, and then you could have a GX skid plate. Alright, hey, thank you so much for watching the video. If you haven't checked out all of my older videos, be sure to do that. You can see the full build up on my 4th gen before it got totaled. Sad day on that. Follow the links in the description down below over to Instagram and Facebook, where I post much more often. Comments and questions always encouraged down below, or feel free to email me, hawkeyeskunkworks@gmail.com. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. Give the video a thumbs up for the GX and other Lexus and Toyota love. And turn the notifications on. It will tell you each and every Sunday what time I post a video, because that is the schedule around here. So until next time, thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.